And we begin in Kenya this morning on the Daily Nation. And of course, you can see the big headline there. Pretty, stunning one. It says, Cult of Death. Of course, you want to find out more. It says, massacres, 39 bodies are exhumed from mass graves. It shows a picture of detectives removing some of the 18 bodies that were exhumed yesterday from a mass grave in Shakahola village in Kilifi County. 39 bodies have been retrieved since the exercise started on Friday. It goes on to show this here. So what religion? The shocking deaths by starvation of members of a suspected cult continued to be unearthed yesterday, with 18 more bodies exhumed at Shakahola village in Kilifi County, even as authorities finally acknowledged the scale of the atrocity as a massacre. And police now also suspect that some of the victims didn't fast to death, but were killed before being buried. As the search enters the fourth day today, the toll can only go up. That's on page 8. We did speak about this, sometime last week. I did mention that every now and then in the news or across the world, you hear about some religious cult or some religious body that, gets its followers so intoxicated with it that they end up either committing suicide or being killed. From the orders of the spiritual leader of the religious leader of that cult. If you remember, Jonestown, which took hundreds and hundreds of lives way back then, and I think it's another one called Heaven's Gate. These were outside Africa. There's been one other one that has happened in another African country in the 70s, I believe, that took hundreds of lives. All right. Also in Kenya this morning, will down tools if April pay is delayed, the state has been told. And also mass action, Azimio to resume protests on the 2nd of May. Okay. Jitters in military, police over Coast Guard medical scheme. These are the major stories on the Daily Nation. Of course, the big one has to be the massacre, the 39 bodies that have been exhumed from mass graves from that religious cult is what I can call it.
That story right there from the Daily Nation in Kenya is something... Anyway, let's move on. Let's go to the daily news in Zimbabwe. That's what we're going to. Front page of the Daily News, government employees showdown looms after public sector workers reject 100% pay hike. And makes you wonder, you're getting 100% pay hike. Why the shutdown? What's going on? Anyway, let's give you insight into the story as well. Very quickly, restive public sector workers are actually bid for another major showdown with the government. This comes after they rejected outright the employer's latest offer of 100% salary increment, which they allege has also seen some junior colleagues earning more than their superiors in some cases. I see what's going on here. Even if you bring the 100% increase, some junior staff will still earn more than the senior staff. Okay.
No wonder.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
I knew there had to be something added.
There's something. It's not normal. I mean, they should be celebrated and saying, thanks for this dialogue. We've reached an agreement, which is good. Anyway, Zim dollar fall begins to bite. Poor Zimbabweans are beginning to pay a high price for the escalating weakening of the local currency, with prices of basic goods continuing to rise and many landlords hiking rents for their properties in urban areas. So it's a tough time in Zimbabwe right now. They've got an escalating challenges, especially with the economy, with food prices, food hikes, and the like. So it's a challenge. But that's all we're going to take on the front page of the Daily News.
All right, now let's move to Nigeria and see what's on the Punch newspapers this morning. Sudan conflict. We did speak a little bit about this earlier. It says government seeks Egypt support to rescue 5,500 Nigerians by road. That's on page 2. So if you have friends, family, relatives, in Sudan, I'm sure that everyone must have been in touch all the while. Please confirm that they are fine and, find ways that they can also get themselves to safety. The federal government warns as Nigerian students pay $100 for dangerous road. It says we are waiting for Sudanese government to provide safe corridor for evacuation, says minister.
That line almost killed me. Let me use that word. Apparently, there are a group of Nigerians who have told the students to come and meet them, leave wherever you are, your hostels, wherever you find yourself, and meet them at a certain area. or a certain place, a designated position. And when they beat them there, the point is they said, come with your $100 and $200. That there's an evacuation plan. So people should start coming with their money. The point is, they said students should converge at African National University, Nantes office, and El Razi University with 100 and 200. And the federal government has warned that, hey, that's not our arrangement.
Yeah.
That's not us. Even from Khartoum.
Yeah, but it's two things, so it's now really, as much as we want to encourage Nigerians in those places, Nigerian students, Nigerians generally in those places to make the best decision, the safest decision for themselves, because now it's really about their lives. They also need to, the Nigerian government also needs to ensure that it assures Nigerians in those countries that it would handle, the situation, and it is, some type of situation, it will ensure that they are safe. It's when there is a lack of trust in, that process that people start to find alternative means. But of course, it's not saying that you should then just jump into any scheme that promises to save your life. You should wait for the Nigerian government's orders. All right, we'll of course continue to follow that story. Police launch manhunt for fleeing Adamawa REC. This is always, it's always funny. Always funny when we see these things. Mostly because we almost knew that this was going to happen, and it's also very, very easy for the Nigerian police.
So where's he fled to?
Yeah, right. Every time to say things like this, that the person who supposedly, committed such a crime has just suddenly disappeared. I remember when Abdulrashid Maina was, declared wanted by the Nigerian police. People allegedly said he was living in the Federal Capital Territory, was moving around with police escorts, but at the same time he was declared missing by the police, or declared missing and wanted by the police. All right, we'll of course give you updates on that story as they emerge. 2 children and 5 others burned to death in Lagos-Ibadan highway crash. And also Tinubu may return today to meet APC NWC as they of course have continued questions on his whereabouts. Nigeria's indebtedness to the World Bank now 6 trillion naira, on page 21 of the Punch. These are the big stories that we can find on the Punch newspapers this morning.
Anyway, we've taken a look at the Punch, we've taken a look at the papers. Let's quickly wrap things up with the Guardian, still staying here in Nigeria. And the big header there on the Guardian, the front page there says, rising poverty costs dampen eSIM adoption, impact on Nigeria's card production, page 6. Remember, I was part of those who became excited about the eSIM adoption. I was looking forward to the eSIM. I do not need to, have my physical SIM with me. Let's just have it. Let it be, electronically, a little bit digital. But then again, we're saying that rising poverty has indeed dampened that plan. Let's take a look at another story quickly. Sudan, federal government negotiates safe exit for stranded Nigerians. Ayetoro, Ondo community slipping into Atlantic Ocean. You can see a picture of the flooding that's actually taking place in Ondo. Just one day rain or a few days of heavy downpour. You need to see why Ayetoro is indeed speaking. And it's high time the government jumps into action without delay. How unregulated estate agencies, firms engage multi-million naira scam. That's another sector that I think attention should be paid into, especially with a lot of people going into building and developing, especially looking at making more money. The scam in that sector is alarming. Another Lagos building collapses 24 hours after Sanwo-Olu's visit to Banana Island site. Well, he went to Banana Island, and unfortunately just yesterday, another one decided to cave in. Well, that's all we're going to take on the front pages this morning.